If you're a software engineer who's struggling to land a tech job right now, I don't recommend that you go to as many tech events as you possibly can. Hi, my name is Matt, and I'm a software engineer that creates content about developing yourself both personally and professionally. Throughout my past couple of years as a software engineer, I've been to many events that did not actually yield any sort of change in my behavior or taught me anything. And I think that's because there's been a big shift in the quality of events and the expectation of the attendees who attend these events. And there's a big difference between an event that's genuinely aiming to teach you something versus an event that's aimed towards selling you something. And I just want to get into the differences between those two today and kind of break down how you can benefit from going to tech events and how you can sniff out the ones that aren't going to be so helpful to you. If you're watching this video, I just want you to know that none of this advice will help you unless you have a good resume. It's the first line of attack that you have, and most people's resumes are trash. And trust me, I've seen hundreds. I've helped people land interviews at companies like Uber, TikTok, Intel, and more. If you're actually serious about getting a job in this cooked market, you can find my Instagram in the description down below where you can send me a DM and we can book a call. Remember, I'm here to help you. Thanks for listening, and let's get back into the video. Tech events are a waste of time if you are being sold to. The way that I think about this is this a company that needs me as a customer or does not need me as a customer? When you're going to a tech event like GDG's New York Tech Fest, which I recently attended the past week, it's not really aimed towards selling you a product. It's aimed towards teaching you something because Google already probably has you as a customer anyways. If you're attending their event, you're probably a customer of theirs. You want to learn how to use their tools more efficiently. On the other hand, let's say you're going to some sort of founder meetup or somewhere where people can essentially pitch their ideas and pitch their products to you. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing when you go to events like this. I'm just saying you need to tame your expectations when you are going to these sorts of events, because I've personally been to events where I'm really excited to learn something new. I'm really excited to talk to somebody about their product, but half of the time I'm just listening to an hour of somebody explaining how their product is better than this. This is what it can do. This is why you should add it to your enterprise workflow. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, I commuted 3 hours to get here, and I'm just gonna, listen to a presentation of somebody trying to sell me an enterprise software that I'm never gonna use. And so, you need to be able to say to yourself from the description of the actual event, hey, is this an event that's actually going to teach me something? Or is this an event that is aimed to sell me something that I don't need? And that don't need part is really, really important. As software engineers, our time is extremely valuable because we have some of the highest leverage time in any sort of profession. We literally spend time developing code that thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people can use. And the fact that we are able to control that is pretty crazy, because a mechanical engineer can't exactly do that. Sure, they can create a product or a tool or develop some sort of, salt fork or something like that. But software engineers have the highest leverage ability to essentially make code that's distributable everywhere, right? And I don't know, let's say here there's other professions like tax professional, something where you rely on some other system or something like that, right? What's better? 10 tech events or one hackathon? I would rather see somebody go to one hackathon than 20 tech events, 30 tech events, because at tech events, you're essentially saying hey, I'm interested in this topic. I want to learn something, but you're actually not doing anything other than just networking and talking to people. And I want to get into this word networking and why 99% of networking doesn't even exist and isn't even real. I don't know who started this concept of having a LinkedIn connection to somebody means that they're going to help you out or be your savior in the future. But personally, from my experience, LinkedIn connection requests and actually asking for help from somebody is not that good of a use of time. And obviously, referrals are great if you're applying to companies and you're trying to get into somewhere. I'm not saying don't do it, but if you spend all your time harvesting and trying to get referrals by spamming LinkedIn connection requests and basically e-begging for a referral, I think you might be able to maximize your time a little bit better if you actually created software products, if you actually made something that people would come to you for. I think of it as a business funnel. Are you somebody who's going to sit there cold calling all day? Or are you going to make something so great that people are going to be calling you? And that's what you can kind of do with content. And that's why I create content that's like this. I want to have people reach out to me for help. I don't want to have to go out and reach constantly. Like, I don't want to have to constantly be saying, hey, let me help you. Hey, software engineer from a random event that I met, hey, let me review your resume or something like that. I want people to come to me, and the way that you can do that is by actually creating products that are valuable. And so what does that mean in terms of networking? That means that you got to be an exceptional person for people to want to network with you. How many people can you go into your LinkedIn page, looked at your connections, and actually say, this is somebody that I could reach out and ask for help from? I honestly think it's only about like 25 to 30% of my current request connections. And I have like 800 or close to 1,000. And like, that's kind of small if you really think about it. Like, that number probably even gets lower the more tech events that I go to. I'm not going to say no to somebody requesting a connection request for me, but I also understand that most people don't even talk to you or actually reach out to you after you do the connection request. Having a connection to somebody doesn't mean anything. You actually have to go out and talk to them and make friends. And at that point, why don't you just get their phone number, actually get their email, talk to them in a normal way as if you would a friend or somebody who's interested in the same things that you are. And that's something that honestly I want to work on a lot, because I personally feel that actually having friends versus connections is one of the best things that you can do for yourself as a software engineer. Like, I work for a company, and whenever I post about me going to an event or something like that, I get a huge influx of people trying to connect with me and reach out to me. And that's completely fine, but I also don't ever hear anything from them, or they never say anything. It's just the value of a connection request has dropped and plummeted so much compared to what has been maybe a couple of years ago when LinkedIn first started out. It really is important for you to think of connections as a completely separate thing to actual real life relationships. Focus on building relationships. Don't focus on maximizing the amount of connections you can make. Another big thing that I want to mention is, do you actually care? I think that most people probably actually don't really care about the events that they're going to. They're just going there to hopefully find an opportunity and, network again. So if you don't care about the event that you're going to, I don't think that it's worth you actually going to the event. Because again, most events are people trying to sell you stuff. And if you don't care about people trying to sell you stuff, and you don't care enough to reach out to people and actually be excited about a project you're working on or something like that, and if you don't care enough to further connect with somebody and actually like have a conversation with somebody, then you are wasting your time. You need to care if you are going to a worthwhile tech event. That is the place where you'll meet somebody who can actually mentor you and train you and get you to a level that you've never seen before. And I want to hit on this as well. Tech events are also a place where you can meet some really fascinating people. And there's this idea of seeing is believing. And personally, I believe it, because I've been to tech events before where I've met people that I'm nowhere close to their skill level, and I don't think I will ever be. But that's okay, because I have my own skills and I have my own abilities, and I'm not gonna let that make me upset. All I'm gonna do is damn, I really admire this person. I want to be more like them. How can I learn from them? And then that's where the relationship and the bond starts. You say hey, dude, you're so cool. You're working on this project. That's awesome. Or the stuff you do at XYZ company is super interesting. I would really love to learn how I can apply my skills to it and how you can maybe teach me a little bit about what you do. And if that person is genuinely interested and cares about what they're working on, then you're going to have a great conversation. But most of the conversations that I have is, oh, so what do you do for work, right? The most surface level question you can ask is oh, what do you do? Oh, what school did you go to? This is the icebreakers in your first day of college, right? I'm not saying every conversation needs to be some sort of crazy third eye opening experience, but you got to be excited, man. You have the opportunity to go out and actually learn something from a company that's trying to teach you something. And again, listen, even if a company is trying to sell you something, even if it's all about the Benjamins for them, and it's just about, oh yeah, we're trying to push a product onto consumers and we're trying to make it so that these people can only, use this product. And if we don't get this many signups by the end of the event, then it's a failure event, right? I don't think that's the case for a lot of events, but I also know that this can be a reality. And I feel bad for people who put on events and stuff like that. Think about how much work it takes to host an entire group of people. You got to do a presentation. You have to have guest speakers. It's not easy to set all of this up. And you should be thankful for the opportunity to go there, but you just should be aware that, hey, a lot of them can be an absolute waste of time. I think that tech events aren't awful. I think that they serve a very necessary purpose, trying to get people excited about some sort of idea or topic, but I also think you just need to be aware, right? If you're going to tech events just for the sake of networking, of, hey, I'm going to get as many LinkedIn connection requests today, and like I fulfilled my duties as somebody who's looking for a job, I don't think that you should be going to tech events for that. I think tech events are a place where you can learn something new, and you can sniff out if you're not actually going to learn anything by looking at the description, looking at the reasoning as to why that event is being hosted. And most of all, you can just talk to people who are hosting the event, have an open conversation. The most down to earth and awesome people that I've met at most tech events are the people who are actually hosting the event. And in terms of like a graph or a chart on like how you should spend your time at a tech event, obviously there's going to be like that initial ramp up session where you first meet everybody, you maybe make a friend or two, you have a conversation, right? That starts slow. Then maybe you have food, you talk to more people, the initial demo starts, you start making more friends. But then this is like the point where you have to like separate yourself from the crowd a little bit. Like ask questions here, like actually talk to people, get some perspective and understanding. And then after that, hopefully you can even like meet the people who are hosting the event, or like, you got to put yourself out there a little bit. You got to be excited about that stuff. And then afterwards, like I would say, it doesn't go downhill from there, but those like end networking sessions where, you're just like yapping about maybe, work or something like that, nothing really productive, then I would maybe reconsider that and head out when you feel that the conversation isn't actually productive. Because again, your time as a software engineer is probably one of the most valuable assets that you have. You need to be able to say to yourself, no, this is actually not worth it for me. I can just, go home, work on a work on a project, work on something that's going to actually benefit me. And it's hard. I understand. It's really hard to make that decision. It's hard to say to yourself, oh, I'm missing out by not going to this. I'm not doing this. I'm upset because like, I'm not going to these tech events. I'm not getting invited to these things. But listen, unless it's like Y Combinator or something where it's going to like, you think completely change your trajectory of your life, I don't think you should really care that much. Focus on building, focus on creating things that bring people towards you. And most of all, just have fun. Like seriously, a lot of people think that these events are there for specifically for networking, for, getting those LinkedIn requests, for, saying to yourself like, oh yeah, I was able to meet XYZ person. This person can give me a referral for Google for or something like that, right? Most of the time, most people don't want to have this sort of conversation. Most of the time, people are there to actually have fun and like learn about the thing that's being presented there. Like add to that conversation, be open, smile, make sure that you're wearing proper clothes and make sure that you're like presenting yourself in a professional way. At the end of the day, again, just put your best foot forward and you got this. My name is Matt. I hope you learned something and thank you for watching. Peace.